The first thing we'll do is do a sound check as soon as I get a thumbs up to do a sound check. Sound check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 1, off. Everything's good? Okay, everything's good. Good morning, Sangha. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. This is shaping up to be a very interesting 3 days. And unfortunately, what I see happening is that there's going to be a winner and there's going to be a loser. And everybody's wishing to be on the team that's winning. Now, what do we call wanting to be on the team that's the winner? I'm sorry, I heard a lot of responses. Dukkha. Okay, yes. Praying for it to be or wanting it to be something that we don't have an answer to yet is going to create dukkha. Unless you're an excellent gambler and you know the right answer, and I don't think anyone knows the right answer to this one. There's the only thing that we do know is that there's a lot of energy and a lot of desire that's present, and something's going to happen, but we don't know what. So the first thing we don't want to do is to construct, is to invent an ending for all of this. A theme for Tuesday night, because we don't know. And although it isn't incorrect to have a vested interest in a certain outcome, the thing that we do know is that we don't want to cling to that outcome. The Buddha tells us in many of his suttas that he came here to teach us how not to suffer. And when we cling to anything, what happens next? Suffering, yes. When we cling, we crave, and we suffer. So If you voted, that's making a lot of people happy. If you didn't vote, that's okay too. Because there are people who are invested in and hoping that you do vote or you don't vote. So whether you do or whether you don't, you're going to make somebody happy. And as long as you are satisfied with the outcome based on the energy that you delivered and the intention that you delivered, that's all that's important. We're going to discuss today the treatise on suffering. A treatise on suffering, not the. And why is it that we suffer? So, it says, how, friends, is their agitation due to clinging? How, friends, is their agitation due to clinging? Now, the first thing is that we understand that we have to cling, or if we're clinging, we have to cling to something that we perceive as real and substantial. And what we are discussing today is the aggregates of being, the forms and feelings and perceptions, consciousness, the aggregates of being, the presence of illusion that causes us to believe that objectification is a real thing, that you and I are really here. Feels like it, doesn't it? Feels like it. But that we are instructed to consider what we are clinging to, what we are wishing for, what we are searching and running after. And the Buddha teaches us that we can evaluate the object in the sense of whether it's me or mine or I or self. And so the first question he asks us is, what we are wishing for, what we are holding on to, what we are desiring, what we think is real, is it permanent or impermanent? That's the first question. Is this form that we're holding on to that gives us all of the insight that makes us feel that this is so, that we are sitting here, that I am here and you are here and they are here? Is it permanent or impermanent? Impermanent, absolutely. We wake up every day and see someone new in the mirror. Where did my yesterday self go? Where is it? I went to bed with it. Where is it? These are the kinds of questions that we can ask ourselves so that we can continue to avoid the trap of delusion. But we have to ask ourselves that question when we feel agitated, because agitation is a pronouncement of suffering, is a early warning symptom of suffering, that I am agitated mentally. I am unhappy with the moment. I want it to be something different. I did my part. I went to vote. I was a pollster. I was an encourager to encourage people to go out and vote. Why didn't my person win? Well, just believing that it goes to that point. It goes to the point that if I did the things I was supposed to do, things are supposed to turn out in my favor, turn out the way I wanted to. If I followed the rules, if I did the things that someone suggested I do to cause a certain outcome, that I have the power, the good fortune, the karma to make this outcome the way I want it to be, to make me happy. And it doesn't work that way. What we are here to do is to not invent the next moment, not invent the future, but to accept it, to read it, and to allow it to be truthful in its own right, and to be not attached to any outcome, any event of outcome. Now, with all of the motion and emotion and energy that has been dissipated in the last 7 months or so, the enthusiasm, the excitement, if you are compassionate, you'd want everybody to win. You'd want there to be a winner for everybody. Whoever you voted for, I hope you win. But I'm not going to cling to that. And I hope that you don't either. I hope that you are fulfilled by the mere fact that you participated in the process. No matter who you voted for, no matter who wins, no matter who loses. That your man, your woman ran and had the opportunity to win. And if you didn't vote, that's okay too. But when you don't vote, you give up your whining rights. You can't complain. Because obviously you didn't believe in it enough to participate. So it's okay. So the thing again is, how do we avoid the agitation that occurs when we cling? And unfortunately, a lot of people that we talk to, or a lot of people that I talk to, don't even realize that they're suffering. They have complaints, but they don't realize that they're suffering. They don't have a clue. They think everything is okay. It's just your fault. And if you had done something different, if you had participated a different way, then I would be happy. How many blame the other guy? Nobody? A lot, huh? The point is, the other guy has nothing to do and has made no contribution to your pain and your suffering. That is me clinging to a concept or an idea that tells me that you have the power to hurt me, to make me unhappy, to make me dissatisfied. That you have the power to intrude on my personhood. And what did we say in the very beginning when we first started this up? That form is impermanent, right? Doesn't stay the same, changes. It goes from an infant to an infant. Bald head in diapers and bald head in diapers. But if form is impermanent, it also means that it's not self. Because that would require many births and deaths in a lifetime for it to qualify as impermanent and changing and not self. So we have to look for those components as we make our evaluation, our judgment as to whether I exist or whether I don't exist. You've got to use all of these experiences not to be manipulated, but to use them to verify the truth of your walk. Or the point of coming in here and sitting down and talking to each other doesn't mean anything at all if you're not going to use it to grow, to get wiser, to understand what you can't see, to understand how this works, to understand who you're not, to understand where the power is and where the power isn't. You've got to be able to look out and see the truth and understand that the perception and consciousness that I use to evaluate and construct a truth is impermanent. It changes. It is not me, it is not mine, it is not I. And that doesn't just go for me, it goes for everybody. Whether you believe it or not, it's still going to happen. Diapers and diapers. So when you waste your time allowing someone else to construct around you the cage of unhappiness, it's your existence and your life that you are wasting away. You're giving someone else your good time and you're taking on their frustration. That sounds like a Trump deal to me, but I don't know. What I'm saying to all of you is use your practice now and forever as a way to stay steady and peaceful in the moment. Realizing that this moment, no matter how rough it is, it's not as rough as it could be. And no matter how rough I think it is, it's going to change. Because all objectification is impermanent. All objects in this reality, even mountains wear away. Tides come in and out. Friends come and friends go. Relatives come and relatives go. Presidents come and presidents go. Civilizations come and civilizations go. There has been no object that has existed forever. So accept the truth that this is so. And if you don't believe it's so, then continue to suffer and weep. Because that's the truth too, that everyone's not going to believe your message. Everyone's not going to listen to the wisdom that you have to share. But the point is, be okay with that too. Understand that truth too. The Buddha said to the Sangha who was sitting and listening to what he had to say, he says, when something is impermanent and suffering and non-self, is it worth calling? Does it deserve being identified as you? See what I'm saying? Listen to this now. If it is impermanent, if it comes and goes, changes face, changes object, changes intention, changes its mind, changes its feeling, changes its age, is it worth identifying with as me and mine self? And what he is helping us understand is that we can let all of that go so that we can find out, so that we can experience, so that we can know who is or what is truly existent. So if the phenomenal isn't real, if the phenomenal comes and goes and changes and evolves, then where does the phenomenal come from? Who am I if I'm not these things that I think I am, that I share with others? Who am I? Where do I exist? So if you have phenomena, and that's not who I am, then where does that come from? Okay, we'll use a different word, the condition. If I'm not the condition, where does the condition come from? What is there that's there before reality? Karma? No, I don't think volition is there. I don't think activity is there first. Ignorance? Well, for most of us, that is truly what is there first, and that's what causes all of the craving and the suffering, the ignorance. But it's not because that ignorance is permanent either. You see, because if that was permanent, we'd all be in trouble. We wouldn't be able to change anything if ignorance were permanent.
Well, we were asking what is permanent.
No, I'm asking what comes before objectivity, what comes before the reality of objects or the reality of me, what comes before that?
Ultimate truth.
Ultimate what?
Truth or unconditionality.
Oh, I like that better even. So the answer could be ultimate truth, which is unconditionality. Or you have conditioned reality and you have unconditioned reality. You have existence and no existence. It comes before there's anything that's there, before reality. So, what we're looking for is a state of being, a state of existence where there's no agitation. There's the understanding that's present that allows us to accept the moment in its truth so that we do not try to grasp for any other concept, any other perception, any other idea, any other form, but we embrace what's here, knowing that in the next moment it's going to change. It's going to be something different. Not because we made it so, but because it's just the nature of things. So when we're sitting and watching our minds and we see anger, or we see pain, or we see hurt, or we see what we perceive as ugliness, we don't have to do anything because it goes away all by itself. The reason it stays around is because we hold on to it. We cling to it. We want it to stay. We hold it by its ankle and try to drag it back down to our level of existence. And because it's so difficult to manipulate objectivity so that it will be unchangeable, it continues to escape our grasp. And we become unhappy because today is not the same as it was yesterday. You don't like me like you did me yesterday. It's ignorance that makes us wish for things that we cannot have. So, you don't know who's going to win, and leave it that way. And whoever wins, wins. And don't get don't get disturbed, and don't get agitated because the person who you voted for didn't win. There'll be another election or not. See, we look at it and say, well, wait a minute now. This one didn't go the way I wanted to, so maybe the next one will. Or maybe there won't be a next one. Because remember, this is just a republic. And Rome is gone, as far as the Rome we knew from that time. The Aztecs are gone. The Native Americans are almost gone. Or the indigenous Americans. So this republic is not going to last forever, because nothing lasts forever except the conditions that come before forever even existed. Because to have a forever, you have to have a marker. You got to have a line, an object of travel, a measurement of time. And none of those things exist. So the constructs that we've used to determine reality are faulty in and of themselves. So with ignorance as condition, volition comes to be. Are you happy now? So when we stop regarding things as me, when we stop holding on to things as mine, at that time, we will no longer have craving and agitation. And when we no longer have craving and agitation, we no longer have the conditions that creates the self that suffers. If you are suffering at any time in your day, in your existence, if you are suffering, look for the self. Look for the self and put it out. Put it out of your house. Because this is the only reason for suffering. Because there's this self that has needs, that's needy, that wants it to be what it wants it to be. Okay, any questions? Is there any questions on from the remote Sangha?
Is there any questions
Nancy did what? Oh, okay. All right. Okay. Well, let's meditate on hope and compassion and kindness and truth, and make sure that we extend that energy out into the world this morning before we go along about our business of the day, that we make sure that those who have an inclination to suffer, an inclination to cling and crave, will feel our love and our intention and our kindness and our deep desire for everyone to be okay right now. So, Remember to work on giving up the illusions of self, because grasping to the illusion of self is what causes our suffering and our pain. In one of the suttas of the Samyutta Nikaya, the Buddha said, renounce the aggregate of form, the aggregate of feeling, the aggregate of perception, so forth. And he says, and when you do, you will be happy for a long time. So what he's instructing us to understand is that when we give up these things that we think we are, we will still be present in some form, in some construct. Now, notice I didn't call it anything, because as soon as you call it something, you brought it from the unconditioned into the conditioned. You made it something, you made it an object. And we are more than that. We are worthier than that limitation. So, but the first thing to do in your practice, to make your practice effective, is when you find yourself suffering, in pain, agitated, look for the self, give it up, let it go. We're so busy trying to figure out a solution out here that we don't do the work when ignorance is present. I don't understand how this came about, so I work on it from the wrong end. It's about working on me. It's about freeing me from my confusion, my delusion. And the same thing with all of you. That's all it takes. So, thank you all so very much. Have a very pleasant day. Smile at a stranger, and we'll see you soon. Uh, 138. You're welcome.